All right. So just a couple things before we get to Coach. Most of you probably aware that next week, Tuesday, is Election Day. It's a no practice day, and so we'll have a change in our schedule for interviews. Not exactly sure how that will look at this point, but we'll get you that information by this weekend and go from there for next week. Game time, 2:35 on ESPN, and then the following week, Michigan State, 11 a.m., also on ESPN. So with that, we'll get to Coach Ferentz.
Good to go?
Good to go.
And so first of all, just, good afternoon. Appreciate everybody joining us, and thanks for your work. Take a minute here and just look back a little bit at the Purdue game, and then certainly look forward to the Northwestern contest this weekend. Coming home Saturday, it was a quiet ride, certainly. I think everybody was disappointed, a little frustrated about the way the game turned out. I think our guys played with good effort, but the bottom line is we didn't play well enough to expect to win, certainly in a conference game. So I think that was really evident out there. We continue to practice the 24-hour rule. So on Sunday, we come in and certainly losses sting. But you look at the film, you see the good things that you did, but also most importantly, I think you try to learn from the bad things, the things that didn't go right, and the things that need to be addressed and improved upon. And so that's the goal of Sunday, doing that. And then the other goal is to move on. Once we put the film to bed, once we get done talking about it, then we want to move on. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do on Sunday, certainly, but I think that becomes a little bit easier on Monday morning when we hit the field. We're back with the players and get a chance to really start looking forward to the next opportunity, the next ball game. So, that's that. Certainly, every loss hurts, and every loss is significant, and especially when you're playing a 9-game season. So they become that much more significant. That'll never change. Just a quick breakdown, I thought overall our special teams did a lot of good things. It was the first appearance for Torrey, obviously. Did a pretty good job, I think, for never being in a football game before, certainly a college football game. So it was a good start for him. But overall, our special teams are pretty good. The one area that we didn't do much in and needed to shore up quickly is our kickoff return outfit. That really didn't help us very much. Offensively, we had yards, but didn't have enough points clearly to win the football game. And the big story, I think, is just our ball security issues on Saturday. We had 3 balls on the ground, lost 2 of them. We were penalized a lot as a football team, and a lot of those were offensive penalties. And the bottom line there is that when you do that, it's hard to have any kind of momentum, any kind of rhythm offensively when you have negative yardage plays or plays that take you out of scoring position. The turnovers were both opportunity killers for us. So those opportunities we left out on the field. We're not going to win in our conference doing those kinds of things. I think Spencer, for a first time out, we had a lot of first time players, but for the quarterback position, certainly thought he did a lot of good things, a lot of things he'll get better at, but was really impressed with his poise and his control out there, and thought he did some good things. And then defensively, same thing. We had some really good moments, some good plays, some good 3-and-outs, those types of things. But also, a lot of things to clean up there too. And probably the 2 biggest things I think that hurt us, too many missed tackles, and then also them running the ball effectively, especially in the second half. I think that impacted the game, to a significant point. So, the bottom line is we have to play cleaner football. And if we don't do that, we're not going to have a chance to be successful. If we do that, we give ourselves an opportunity maybe to be a little bit more successful with what turned out. As we move forward now, our captains will be the same 5 guys. We've got Chauncey Golston, Nick Neiman defensively, Tyler Linderbaum and Mekhi Sargent on the offense, and then Keith Duncan is the special teams captain. So the same 5 guys there. Medically, 2 guys from the 2 deep that won't be with us again are Jack Campbell and Austin Schulte. So those guys won't be here this week, and probably another week at least before they're back in action. So that's kind of that. Northwestern, clearly got off to a really impressive start. They played pretty almost flawless football, and looked really impressive on the tape in all 3 areas, and not a huge surprise. I thought they were really sharp. They played clean football and really had it rolling pretty good out there. they've done a great job over the years, ever since Pat Fitzgerald took over the program. He's just done a tremendous job, and he's got an outstanding staff. So, when you watch a film, you almost know what to expect. And that is what you see. You see a really, well-coached team, a team that plays extremely hard. They don't give anything easy. They make you work for everything you're going to get. And then if you open the door at all, they're going to jump right in there. So, they're really a good football team. I think probably the obvious thing, if you looked at it last year, they had some trouble at the quarterback position, just never got settled there. And a lot of those same faces from last year, they were back. So they're a very veteran football team. You look at their linebackers, a lot of positions on the team. They got a lot of really, not only veteran players, but veteran players that played a couple of years, not just 1 year. So they've got really, good personnel. And then on top of that, they've got a couple of newcomers that have really helped the team. And they've got a new offensive coordinator. Looked like they ran that system flawlessly on Saturday. It was very, very impressive to watch. The new quarterback, I think, has really kind of given them stability at that position. And we had a lot of respect for him when he's at Indiana. Best way I can describe him, at least from outsider looking in, I just think the guy's a winner. It just seems like he does a lot of really good things for his football team. We saw that again Sunday or Saturday night. So he's very impressive. So you got new coordinator, you pick up a grad transfer like that, and they've got a couple others that have helped the team, and then they've got a newcomer. Their left tackle on offense is a true freshman, a young guy we tried to recruit that we thought the world of, and turns out he's as good as we thought he was. He really played really well, like a veteran player the other night in his first college game. So, like you'd expect, they got really good football players, and we know we got a big challenge in our hands. So we're certainly looking forward to being in Kinnick. It won't be the same, obviously, just like being on the road is a little bit different, but I think that might even be a bigger thing at home. When you expect your home crowd to be there and be part of the action. So that won't be the same. We'll have to get used to that. We are looking forward to the wave, having an opportunity to do that. That's a good thing, certainly, and that won't change. But all in all, it's just going to be, it's a big challenge. We're looking forward to kickoff, and we know we've got a tall order in our hands. We've got a lot of work to do this week to get ready for a very tough Northwestern football team. I'll throw it out for questions.
If you have a question for Coach Ferentz, please raise your hand in the participant window on the bottom of your screen, and we will open things to a question from Chad Leicester.
Hey, Coach, just a short answer on this is fine. I wish I would have asked this post-game, but what happened on that illegal substitution or 12-man thing? Looked like you and Phil and Seth were pretty upset. Can you just clarify what happened there and your perspective?
Yeah, the rule is that if the offense subs, they're supposed to stand over the ball and give you an opportunity to match substitutions. So, that's our understanding. Now, the question is, what's the timing of that? How much time do you have to react? And what they told us was, we weren't quick enough in that regard. So, that's their feeling on it, and that just tells us we have to move a little quicker if there are substitutions, and we want to try to match them. We've got to do something a little quicker.
Next question from John Schaefer.
Hey, Kirk, I know every program is different, but looking at what's going on with Wisconsin and their current COVID situation with quarterbacking, is this year one of those years where you really have to focus on not just the 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 down the depth chart, making sure they're prepared for any situation?
Yeah, I actually just heard that this morning coming into work on the radio. It was a late story, I think, on the college station. But, we've been saying that. Probably every coach in the country has been saying that, going back to whenever we got started, late June or late July, I guess it would have been. This year, as much as everybody on your roster might have an opportunity to be out there in the field. So it's certainly not a scenario any of us want to, be part of, but it's a reality of the world we're living in right now. So, yeah, no question. It's going to be a really unusual year, and we're hardly out of the woods yet, one game into the season. So we've already seen a lot of things around the country with teams being shut down, pro teams, college teams. So you just got to stay loose and try to deal with whatever circumstances present themselves, and really no different than everybody's been doing since, at least March, probably.
Next question from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Kirk, just a couple of other people who were on our initial depth chart that weren't in uniform on Saturday, Logan Lee and Max Cooper. Are they going to be available on Saturday, or how long are they out if they are?
Yeah, Max will be back. He was injured. And I think Logan was at the game. I think he was. I think he traveled, but he wasn't in the game. So he's been doing a good job. He's been working. I will take a minute to compliment him. I just did in our offensive room watching the tape from this morning. He's just working really hard. He's missed a lot of time last year. He was injured the majority of the season. Obviously, we didn't have spring practice, so he's a little frustrated. I think I talked to him back probably 4 weeks ago just about being patient because you've missed a lot of time. Coy Cronk the same way, with the injuries. So it's not going to happen as fast as you wanted to. Just keep working, but. Back in the summer when we were training and then, throughout our practice, the practices we had leading up to last week, he's just been really working hard. So I want to toot his horn a little bit. He's just got a great attitude, great work ethic, and we're going to see good things out of him as a football player here.
Question from Tyler Devine.
Kirk, in the age of social media and cameras everywhere and the way recruiting is covered, how does a guy like Sam Laporta go relatively unnoticed?
I got in trouble for saying that's football, but it is football. And it's really life, if you think about it. And since we're talking about tight ends, you think about a guy like George Kittle, who probably was a 5th-round draft pick. Maybe he was a 4th, I don't know. But when he came out, he had injuries in high school or college, with us. Some things held him back. But, you watch George, and I got to watch him against Green Bay last year in that championship game. It's unbelievable how good he has become as a player. So you think about his elevation. You think about a guy like Marshall Yanda, who, really nobody recruited. And, we almost didn't recruit him and ends up being a really good player for us. 3rd-round draft pick, probably about right based on the way the NFL look at a guy. And then, I don't know how many Pro Bowls he's gone to, and he's got a chance to be a Hall of Famer. So it's a really funny thing about football. I was talking to one of our young players today coming off the field about Bruce Nelson. It was a young 2nd-year walk-on who I think's got a really good future here. And I just, kind of referenced the Bruce Nelson story, who, started 4 years for us as he's a backup 3rd, 4th-team tight end in 1999 in spring ball, and ends up being a 4-year starter for us in the offensive line. So, that's the beauty of, some players are really obviously good. I mentioned the left tackle for Northwestern. We figured that out when he was probably in 10th grade. And some players are really easy to identify. There are others that just, are a little bit more hidden, or they develop and improve as they go along. And you do see that in pro football. And George is a great example of that. He's a much better player now than he was 3 years ago. But that's because he's worked hard. He's got a great attitude. He worked hard. And he's also got a pretty good skill set. So it all came together for him. And that's, you just can't predict that. Nobody else was recruiting Sam either. And I'm just really thankful that we figured it out late in the game at least. And, it's turned out pretty well for us. TJ Hawkinson's another guy, right? 19th guy in the recruiting class, his recruiting class, 9th guy in the draft. So, it's all about improvement. It's all about just trying to push and see how much better you get as a football player.
Next question from Tom Kakert.
Kirk, they have a new OC. Is there anything appreciably different, or is it just kind of the same things that Fitz has been running over the years? And how do you plan for somebody who's different? Because they had the same OC for a long time.
Yeah, it's yes and no. It doesn't look totally different than what they've done, but it's definitely different. There's his personality, his beliefs are certainly apparent, and it's a little bit interesting because when he was at BC, they pretty much ran what BC had been running, and we faced them a couple of years ago in the Pinstripe Bowl. So he clearly has some ideas about what he likes, and he's an excellent coach. And that showed up. I think, systems don't necessarily win or lose for. I really believe that. It's more about execution and what the players do and their belief in this system. The thing that was most impressive to me was just how clean and how polished they played the other night. I mean, to me, it almost was flawless offensively. And, for a new system in a year like this year's been, to do that, to install, and I guess they got 12 spring practices. So maybe they had a little bit of a head start there. But nonetheless, to transition the way they've transitioned and play that flawlessly, that's really impressive. And that's with a new quarterback too now. But it's a quarterback who's played and really knows how to play college football. So, the whole thing just came together really well for him. And, we got our hands full here because it's run and pass. They do both very, very well. They're very balanced.
Question from Chris Werner.
Hi, Coach. Obviously, you guys were pretty effective running the ball last week with 195 yards on the ground, but Northwestern only allowed 64 to Maryland running last week. What challenges do the Northwestern defensive line present to you?
Yeah, they're going to be a challenge. Like I said, today it's Tuesday. I can tell you right now on Saturday it's going to be a challenge, only because we've played each other so much. And one thing one of the things they've done, they've got an identity defensively, and they know who they are. They know what they believe in, and they are so sound. So the guys up front, some of those faces have changed, but you have to block them, and they make you work every play. And I mean, nothing is easy and nothing's clean. You just don't get clean plays against them. And then on top of it, they got 3 veteran linebackers that do a great job of being where they're supposed to be. They've got a couple safeties that are really involved in the run too. So those 9 guys really do a good job of making it really difficult to run the football. So whatever we do on Saturday, we're going to have to really earn it if we're going to have any chance at all. And it's tough to scheme them because they're just so fundamentally sound. So, it won't be like last Saturday. It's not going to be that kind of, I'm not saying that was easy, but there were easier yards, I guess, maybe to get. And, it won't be like that this week. We're going to have to really work and dig.
Chad Leicester.
Yeah, just a big picture question here about halftime adjustments. You hear people talk about it on TV and stuff. What's your process with, making adjustments at halftime, with Phil or Brian, excuse me, whatever. Can you just kind of paint that picture of what you guys do at halftime?
Sure. It really hasn't changed much in 21 years. We come in, one nice thing about college football, you got a long halftime, 20 minutes. So we meet offensively, defensively. I'll usually stick my head in if there's something that's hurt us defensively, just, kind of make sure we're all on the same page there. And then I'll sit in with the offense. But basically we talk about what we saw, what we think might be good. And then, it's a matter of getting out there and communicating it to the players. Here's what we're thinking. Here's some things to expect, et cetera. And then that process is really going on for 60 minutes during the whole game. When the guys come over to the bench, there's a lot of discussion going on. And but the key thing is whatever it is you're deciding, that really doesn't matter unless you communicate that well with your team. And then you got to hope you're right on your decisions and the adjustments that you do make. But it's ongoing. So there's a lot of activity during the entire game, actually.
Question from Mike Loss.
I apologize for asking something about next week, but I'm not sure there'll be an opportune time to ask before then. How will you adapt your schedule inside the complex with Tuesday off? And how do you feel about the NCAA's decision to stop athletics for a day for the election?
I think it's great in theory. I didn't know it took that long to vote. And, this year it seems like a lot of voting's already been done. So it seems like, it might have been better to do a team vote, symbolically have everybody together, bus them over, and, go to the polling place or, everybody do the little Dropbox deal, something like that. If we want to do that 4 years from now, that might be a more powerful representation of what we're trying to, deem to be important. And it is important. Voting is extremely important, for everybody in our country. So I wholly endorse that concept. So that's good. A couple of years ago, I do remember voting, mainly because my wife reminds me to, and I remember going down to, I think it's Horace Mann. I got there at whatever time the polls closed, 9:58. And I remember I'm walking to the door, probably about 60 feet from the door, and, sweet lady's looking at me, and then she just shuts the door right in my face because I was like, 20 seconds late, and she wouldn't let me in. So I didn't vote that year, I got to confess. So anyway, it is what it is. We decided to do this. I get the concept. I'm totally in support of the concept. I think we could have done it a better way, but nobody asked. So we'll adjust. We're obviously taking Tuesday off. The players are. Coaches will probably be working. We'll still vote. I assure you we'll vote, but we'll be working, and we'll just adjust the schedule. And really, it means a couple 3-day weeks, right? Because I think we've got a Friday game coming up after that. So we'll back-to-back short weeks, if you will.
Question from Tyler Devine.
Kirk, what did you see from Davion Nixon on Saturday, and how important is it for your defense that he continues that level of play moving forward?
I thought he did a really good job. I thought he was disruptive, and every player can play better, obviously, and clean some stuff up. That's our first game. We expect that. I thought he did a lot of good things, brought a really good energy, and impacted the game. So, and he's been practicing really well. So, just really happy about that. And I know he played last year and he started a couple games, I believe, but right now he's a starter, right? So he's really, he's been doing a good job. And I'm hopeful everybody on our team keeps playing better week in and week out. That's really the goal. It always is every year. And if we're gonna have a good football team, we need everybody doing that, whether it's a guy like Davion or a guy like Spencer Petras who's never really played before. We need everybody just trying to climb the ladder weekly. We expect that from everybody.
Scott Docterman.
Yeah, kind of getting back to Sam Laporta. I mean, you've never been shy about playing tight ends, mostly in a reserve role as a true freshman. But in his case, he just seemed to really grow. And by the end of the year, kind of looked the part. And then the other day, he even looked more filled out. His routes seemed a little more crisp. In what ways has he grown over the last year? And is that surprising just based on, where he came from?
I don't think so. I mean, good players, that's what they do. And, everybody's got a different story, right? George Kittle was a skinny guy when he got here, 200 pounds, 205, whatever he was, and kind of grew and, became a really good player for us. And then it's just kept on growing. Noah got here and played as a freshman. And then Sam, let me go back. TJ did redshirt, drove the defense crazy eventually. He made a lot of plays against the defense, but never played as a freshman. And then Sam was kind of somewhere in between, right? He was with us last year doing some good things on special teams. And with each week, we saw a little bit more and more confidence, and we got a little bit more and more trust in him. And then, when we actually started playing him, did some good things, and then he just kept getting better and better. And I would venture to say by the end of the year, he was a pretty good player for us. And now it's just a continuation of that process. So, but that's what good players do. And, Worst kind of had the same deal, right? Worst got thrown in the mix early, whatever it was, fourth or fifth game his first year. And then, Tristan did a decent job that year, but he just kept building on it. And that's what good players do. And that's what, we're hoping for with everybody that we have on our football team.
Do you see any parallels with him and some of his predecessors?
Yeah, I mean, all of our guys have been different style guys and different, stories, I guess. But yeah, he's a good player. The common denominator is he loves football. He loves playing. He loves being out there on the field. He enjoys getting his ankles taped. I mean, he just kind of likes everything about this, and he's got a real good energy, a good vibe. In that way, a little bit, Dallas Clark-ish almost. Just Dallas made you feel good when you stand in the same room as him. There's something about him. The guy just really enjoys this environment and clearly likes playing. And we'd all like to take credit for teaching this, teaching that, but I mean, just kind of a lot of that stuff just guys have it or they don't sometimes.
Question from Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, hi, Kirk. Amir obviously didn't have any receptions Saturday. Was that just Purdue, concentrating on taking him out? I mean, could you sense some frustration, it looked like, from him during the game? And how important is it to get him a little more involved maybe this week?
Well, yeah, we want to get everybody involved. And, when guys, skill players, typically if they don't get the ball enough, they're going to be frustrated, and that's fine because they want to help the team and what have you. But the ball's going to go where it's going to go typically. You can scheme some stuff up and try to do some things. We had them on a run, obviously. Did a good job on that. Those are easier to do than in the passing game probably. But, I look at it right now. I think we've got a pretty good receiver core potentially. And, that includes the tight ends. And I think we've got good backs. We got to protect the ball a little bit better. But, if we're operating the way we need to operate, probably everybody's going to get their share of balls. It may not be on one Saturday, but, over the course of time, hopefully, that distribution is fairly healthy.
Question from Grant Becker.
Yeah, Kirk, you mentioned Peyton Ramsey in your opening there. Obviously, he's a guy you've seen before. What makes him an effective quarterback? I know there's only one game on tape so far, but do you see any differences from his start at Northwestern versus his time at Indiana?
I always was impressed with him at Indiana. I just and I'm not second guessing or suggesting I coached there, and I'm not going to make the decision. I think they had two really good quarterbacks. That's what it looks like outsider looking in, because it looks like the other guy's doing pretty well too. And I haven't seen him on film as much because we haven't played them since he started playing. But I think they're I was always impressed with the way he carried himself on the field, the way he operated. And it's not like he's got a tremendous arm or this or that, just exceptional. The guy's just a good football player, and I'm not saying he's McSorley, but, McSorley, the way he was, his team always won, it seemed like. He just has that knack. He's a coach's son, so maybe it's got a little something to do with it. He's got a little savvy, but he's just an impressive football player. And, some quarterbacks, you say, wow, look at that arm, or boy, is that guy quick, or, this and that. But the bottom line is does your team win? Do you lead your team to victory? And that's, to me, how you judge quarterbacks. And it seems like he does a really good job of it. Just, he's got that it factor, whatever you want to call it.
Question from John Schaefer.
10 penalties and 2 turnovers. I know you talked about it after the game Saturday, but what are the ways you clean those up during practice over the course of the week?
It's just concentration and, it's fundamentals, obviously. We had 3 balls on the ground. We lost 2 of them. One was a tough one. It was one of our guys coming in trying to, help the ball carrier. So, I'm not faulting anybody. And the other one we lost, it was just a matter of a guy that the back couldn't see. Basically, if you look at it from the end zone, it was one of those shots where, kind of came and caught him by surprise. But those things happen on a football field. So you got to secure the ball. And that is what it is. So we just got to be a little bit more secure of the ball, more conscious of our fundamentals, and then concentrate too. And the same thing, it's the same thing with false starts. Those are typically concentration errors. And, our cadence is a little different because we have a new quarterback, all those kinds of things. We're motioning, shifting. It's just concentration. We got to get that done. And otherwise we can't do all those things, and we're not going to change quarterbacks. So, we got to do a better job, concentrating there, because 5 yards is a lot. It's a lot on an offensive series. Any negative yards plays offensively they're bad things.
Question from Tom Kakert.
Kirk, how'd you feel about your pass rush? And do you think it seemed like Bill brought pressure from a lot of different angles? Just your overall view of it so far, one game in.
Yeah, the percentage of pressure wasn't as high maybe as I felt like it was coming off the field. But yeah, we'll do what we have to do. It starts with just working hard up front, and we'll continue to work on that. It was okay, but the more you can disrupt the quarterback, it's not always about sacks, but disrupting the quarterback, disrupting timing, those kinds of things are really helpful. One of the sacks was a good coverage sack. Our coverage was really good, and he had to eat the ball. So, a lot of things go into disrupting a passing game. It's not always just a sack, but if we can get some of those, that's okay with us. We'll take them.
Chad Leicester.
Yeah, you played a 4-2-5 last year against Northwestern exclusively. Is that with the new coordinator? Do you expect that to be the same this time? And also, is Hankins your cash now when you do that, or was that a Purdue only thing?
Well, yeah, we'll see what it looks like. We're pretty happy with that, and we're happy when Dane's down there too. So probably one of the 2 guys. I would imagine just standing here today, we'll probably be in a fair share of sub defense just because of the way they are, their personnel. Although they'll play some 2 tights, they'll get 2 tights in the game, and they put us in our normal defense as well. So we'll probably have to be prepared for everything.
Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Kirk, in a traditional year, you would try to use most of September to try to build up to get into Big Ten season and be at a pretty good level. And a lot of times those early games are where you kind of work out the kinks. You don't really have that luxury, I guess, this year. Does that throw any kind of urgency into the building process versus maybe in the past you felt like you could, I guess, work your way up through the month of September?
In a perfect world, we like to have that ability. And, traditionally, we have gotten better. Our good teams, at least, have gotten better as the year goes on. So, if we're going to be successful, that's paramount. We have to do that. There's just not much wiggle room, as I alluded to earlier, right? It's eight scheduled games plus 1. So, every game is really critical. And, hopefully, we'll show improvement this week from last week. We need to. I just look at the film from the Maryland game the other night. It could turn fast if we're not ready to go, because they got a good football team, and they're ready to roll. They showed that. So, yeah, we're going to have to play catch up here. We're going to have to get moving, and it's every game counts. But I always go back to like the 2009 season. It took a miracle basically to win that first game, and then we ended up having a team that played pretty well the rest of the season. And so look back to most of our seasons. I guess 2009, we didn't lose a game, but we played pretty bad. But usually we have a game or 2 early that just you got to do something about it. the real key thing right now is how we respond. Do we come back and play cleaner and give ourselves a chance to win? At least make Northwestern beat us. We don't want to help our opponent, give them an edge at all in the game.
That's all from us, Coach. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, right, done.